Time now for the markets with Leighton. Leighton, one sector is being described as a losing proposition this week.
That's right, Artist. Tough times, very tough times in the hog business. More on that in a bit. Also ahead this week, poultry producers in Mississippi and elsewhere are forced to make cuts. Corn feels some harvest pressure, while the excess cotton supply is slowly disappearing. Mississippi's #1 ag commodity is preparing to take a hit from rising feed grain prices. For example, Sanderson Farms of Laurel has announced the following steps: reducing egg sets by 2% across all divisions. This follows a reduction of 4% back in January. Also, Sanderson reports it is now running plants at 6% below capacity. These steps are in response to projections that by October, chicken production cost will be 8 cents per pound higher. Further cuts are expected. Meanwhile, producers of the other white meat, pork, are already losing money big time. Analyst John Roach describes it as a bloody situation, one where optimism is hard to find.
We're getting bigger runs now, and it's putting pressure on the market, and we really haven't seen much liquidation at all. And the hog business is a horrible losing proposition right now. We had people stop by the booth this week talking about losing $40 a head on bringing in feeder pigs that they're committed to take. And so we're just concerned that we're going to have a liquidation phase to run through here. We're really dependent upon the export business for pork. That's been a big chunk of our business this past year. And so I'd like to offer some words of optimism, but I don't have very many, quite frankly.
Let's move to our trivia quiz for this week already. Which area of agriculture uses the Scoville Scale? Is it poultry, or cattle, or forestry, or horticulture? You'll find out here in a few more minutes. We move into row crops now in the markets, and the corn sector in particular is feeling harvest pressure right now. Several private estimates of the nation's crop are expected between now and next Wednesday morning, when the USDA's new monthly crop and supply demand estimates are released. Here's analyst Sue Martin's take on where the corn market stands.
I think that the corn market priced itself out when it got to $8.50. And I think that it has the potential with rationing to come back higher and take a look at $8.50 again, possibly exceed it. But the problem is, and what we're telling our clients and subscribers is, from $8.50 to $9.20, follow that market and watch it very closely and use it for selling. Not to buy into it, but to use it for making sales.
Declining prices have been the main feature of the wheat market lately. Double-digit losses were recorded at the close at midweek on Wednesday, and this follows the wheat pit being down several days in a row prior to that. Analyst Jamie Kohaki doesn't seem to think the picture will change dramatically until later this fall.
The big key right now is pricing versus Baltic Sea. We're about $40, $45 a ton higher than wheat coming out of the Baltic Sea area. So I think we'll grind a little bit lower in here short term along with the other two grains and then crack back up higher later this fall. But until we get more competitive worldwide, I think the easiest path is just to see a little more profit taking.
From feed grains to cotton now as we head towards the end of the markets. Reports indicate that Hurricane Isaac did only limited damage to the U.S. cotton crop. And after declining 2 days in a row, cotton futures were trading modestly higher Thursday morning and staying within a 4-week uptrend. I talked with Extension Ag economist John Michael Riley Thursday morning about cotton. All right, John Michael, let's start with some foreign news. And you're telling me off camera that the Indian crop and what may or may not happen with that is kind of a headline maker for cotton.
It is. India has been pretty dry for the past number of weeks. They've started to get some rain. Monsoons have finally started to pick up in that region and expected to help the crop, but the question is it too little too late? I think most of us expect that it could help, but there's been a tremendous amount of damage that's already been done, so they're definitely not going to have the production that they would like to have and that they, you know, if you probably 5-year average that they would normally have if they'd have gotten those timely rains. So that's one of the stories on the foreign market that is making headlines.
All right, and I'm sure the other one you're alluding to is China's economy, still an unknown, and a lot of potential for bad news.
Could have some pushback in terms of prices, in terms of what happens here in the United States. They are the 800-pound gorilla as it relates to cotton. A lot in the news here lately about the fact that they could be seeing a slowdown in their economy, and if that does happen, that will have some ramifications to cotton prices, to cotton demand, and that's the other, yes, newsmaker.
And obviously the export number would go down if that.
So much of our exports go there. You know, we have seen a fallback in exports just mainly because the dollar has strengthened over the, for the past year. That's not unexpected, but if China continues to see a slowdown in their economy, it's probably going to get worse.
So longer term, any brief comments as far as the crop for next year, the outlook and price picture?
Yeah, if you look at competing crops, I think that's really going to be a huge player here. There's already talk as Brazil gets ramped up to start planting that they're going to push more acres to soybeans due to the high price for soybeans right now and the low price for cotton. That's probably, if those price differentials continue into next fall, that's probably going to be the same story here in the United States. We're going to see more acres go to soybeans as opposed to cotton.
We're about out of time for the markets, so here's the answer to that trivia quiz just ahead of a feature story. And the answer is D, horticulture. The Scoville scale is used to measure the heat intensity and pungency of hot peppers.